So let's get rocking and rolling. I want to talk about a major failure that I had in link building recently for a client. And I think what happens when people that do SEO talk about link building, they usually are telling you all the things that work. Sometimes they're not giving you insights into the tens of thousands of things they've tried before that didn't work. And then I'm going to show everybody how I took something that wasn't working for this client and turned it around and learned from it. And then I'm just going to start sharing with you guys that exact process so that if you're having link building campaigns that aren't taking off or aren't doing as well as you'd like, I hope there's going to be a couple of tips you'll take from this that'll help you rejuvenate them, turn them around, and help you to get rocking and rolling on the search engines. So let's talk about failures first. This is Jimmy Rollins. He had a much better night last night. Go Phillies. But you know, like we all know Matt Cutts, and we all are used to hearing things like this. Build good content, get authority links, rank well. And it's a simple equation, but it doesn't always add up. And it probably sounds like pretty standard SEO advice to everyone here. Nothing new. But it's only part of what's actually going to create success for you in your link building. And I think the number one most important thing I can share with you guys that many of you wouldn't see is how authority links absolutely failed to draw rankings for one of my clients. And when I say authority, let me give you an example. They have links from the New York Times. They have links from Oprah Magazine. They've got links from Shape, Cosmo, Redbook, Women's Health. You know, they've got links from all these major magazines. And to me as an SEO, this was T-ball. This was teed up for us, right? You're doing all the things right you're supposed to do. You should see how much content this person writes, how often they're quoted and spoken about at industry conferences. And it never happened. Their rankings did not move. And what we did is we tweaked their anchor text. We constantly pressed these places for outbound links to our client's site, even with the anchor text. At one point, we had a link from one page removed from the homepage for Cosmo. Did nothing with our anchor text. We socially promoted these pieces as well. And here's the trend. Here's the ranking trend. Every arrow represents a major drop in on a major magazine or a major publication. That does not look like build authority links, get good rankings, does it? But that's what we're told. We're building links, or not we are, I mean, they actually did this on their own. So it wasn't like we contacted the New York Times, let's be honest. He was already someone that was really well known. And we had flat rankings for that hard work. This was one of the most painful exercises in SEO that I've had in 13 years of doing SEO. This is one of the most painful things I've ever seen because we're following the rules, we're doing what people tell you you're supposed to do, and we got no bump for months afterwards. And the large press mentions, they failed. And the reason why they failed is because the anchor text was very hard to get. But even when we did get it, it didn't do anything. Authority sites like these, they tend to archive so poorly that by the time the spiders get to the page where you've got the link, it's not doing much for you. And because those sites, those big publisher sites want all these page views, they do this. They paginate the heck out of their articles. They put links only with the anchor text, only to their own stuff. Doesn't help you, right? And if you're not buying ads, you're not getting linky links. So I figured this time, because I did a similar presentation at PubCon South, and I feel that this is one of those things that there's not a lot of people out there talking about. Everybody's consistently saying, if you just build authority links and make connections over and over and over again, you're going to get blessed with rankings. And I'm saying, yeah, you know what? When you get a link from Oprah Magazine and New York Times and it does nothing for you, somebody needs to tell that story. So if you were at PubCon South, the beginning of this is a little bit of a repeat. I apologize. But I think it's something that people need to see. I mean, I put a lot of effort and a lot of hope behind this working, and it didn't. So what I'm showing here is an example of how these big sites actually don't push any link juice to your link. Here's the homepage. You got a bunch of different categories. So let's say this is Cosmo Magazine. And they've got all their different categories, and one of them is love and sex, let's say, right? And that's one of my categories. But then under love and sex, they're going to have about 10 other subcategories, right? And then I have my article there. But because they paginate each page, if I'm listed on the 5th page, look how far away my link is from the homepage. It's buried, which means it's not going to add a lot of value. I kind of hoped that just having a direct link, no redirects, nothing, from the New York Times and Oprah magazine would give us a big bump, and it just didn't. So I asked, over and over again, can I get a link, please? Is there a way we can get a link? Can we do a publication with you, like a co-reg? Can we do something? No, 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 no. All we got from those folks was them sending us their media kit. And we broke the first page about 2 months ago for this keyword, finally. But we had to abandon the strategy of thinking that high-value links from high-authority sites was actually going to be the way that was going to get done. Do you know how painful that is for me to say? As an SEO, it's my job to tell you guys, if you go out there and you work your ass off and you get in front of reporters for the New York Times and CNET and all these places and you launch your iPhone app and do all those things, you're going to be blessed with rankings. And in some industries, it's freaking absolutely not true. And it sucks to say that, but it is the truth. So I figured I'd show it to you guys. Mind you, this client is going after one of the most competitive words I've ever gone after. So maybe that has something to do with it. But some of you are probably in pretty competitive areas right now too. So now let me start breaking down for you exactly how we turned the ship around and how we actually ended up breaking the first page for this client. So the first thing is that we had a lonely fall. We did not do a good job of having our client consistently connecting with people in the social landscape. So when we had something we wanted to drop, there was no one there to give us a hand up. And that's what I refer to as a lack of pre-reciprocation. I hate that word, but someone came up with it, and it's a good word. It's doing something for other people before you need them to promote your stuff. Very often, many of us wait until we've got something great, and we want all of our friends to retweet it, send it out, comment on it, etc., stumble it, whatever it might be. But the question is what have you done for other people, not just your friends, people that are actually interested in your content before you needed them to do something for you? Usually, not very much. And those are one of the ways that we failed. So obviously, don't wait until you need promotion of your work to promote the work of others. TweetDeck makes this so easy. Why don't you create a column or two in TweetDeck and just follow some up-and-comers? Follow your big guys and then your up-and-comers. Up-and-comers love when the big guys retweet their stuff. They're saying, hey, you actually read my stuff. Yes, I actually do read your stuff. Set up a couple of extra columns in TweetDeck and spend 15 minutes every Friday morning while you're drinking your coffee retweeting other people's stuff that's on topics that you also care about. It's an easy way. And then people are going to feel more likely to want to retweet your stuff when they've seen that you've done something to try to take your followership and help them get some followers as well. Obviously, if you guys have questions, stop me. I know I talk fast, but it's okay. Interrupt. And I refer to that as building up your karma bank, so that next time you're out there and you're trying to promote your stuff, you're not falling by yourself. You're not promoting things by yourself. You've got somebody who's giving you a helping hand while you've got on your training wheels. So here's the easiest ways to start figuring out, well, okay, Will, I get it, right? I probably haven't done the best job of finding people who are out there talking about the things that I'm trying to rank well for, that I care about, and connecting with them. So how do you do it? Here's two of the ways I'm going to recommend it. Twitter search. Twitter search is so simple. You go to you search.twitter.com, or there's a little box on the right-hand side now, and search for words that are actually things that you care about, right? So a friend of mine has a site that's all about dropping your iPhone and breaking it and cracking the screen. Where are people typically talking about that? Twitter. Why not go out to Twitter, search for it, and then start to connect to those people? Start to do giveaways or promotions with those people. Start to say, hey, the person with the best story, I've connected with a company that's actually going to replace your glass or your screen. That's connecting with people before you actually need someone to promote your stuff. I do this a lot. Or you can be a little bit more sneaky about this. Your mileage may vary on this. It's a good idea. I try to be a little bit more angelic in my recommendations. But how about you take a competitor name and drop in these words: frustrated, down, broken, offline, sad face, sucks, or expletives. Why? Anybody know why I'm saying to do that? It's a great time to get in front of somebody when they're working with your competitor, when they're talking about how pissed off they are that your competitor's service is down, or that they think they suck, or they're not happy with people there, right? It's a great opportunity to connect with those people. You connect with them, you don't sell them on stuff, you just follow them. You start to retweet their stuff, you start to promote them, and hopefully when the timing comes around, they'll promote your stuff. I know it's a little bit sneaky. Some people might say, you know what, Will, I'm not so fine with that. That's okay. You can choose to do this, you can choose not to. how to be a little bit more sneaky. So one of my clients competes with Motorcycle Superstore, right? Do you see how the Twitter results are showing up down there for Motorcycle Superstore? That's just a Grease Monkey plugin. So no matter how many times I tell people here to go to search.twitter.com and search, how many of you guys are really going to do it? Not many. So we're lazy. That's okay. The quicker you are to admit it, the easier it's going to be for you to figure out ways to be lazy and still get to the end goal. If you use Grease Monkey, which is it's like a plugin for Firefox, then you can use the plugin that shows Twitter results above your Google search results. So how many people in here do more than 5 searches on Twitter a day? More than 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe? How many of you do more than 5 searches a day on Google? Whole room, right? So now think about it. Why wouldn't you use a tool to show Twitter search results above every single thing you search for on Google? Be lazy, be smart, right? So now every time I searched for a competitor and found this. And you know what? I don't think I have yeah, I do, good. All right, so I searched for this competitor and saw this. This Twitter tool actually brings up even something with the links. I don't know exactly how it works, but you'll notice there is no Motorcycle Superstore mentioned here, but something in that bit.ly link, I guess the tool actually spiders the link and then said, oh, Motorcycle Superstore is used here. Okay. When I got to Motorcycle Superstore, I saw that at the bottom of their site, they have site search by SLI systems or popular searches. See that little, see the BizRate logo down at the bottom there? See right above that where it says popular searches? I love using this to do competitive intelligence on my competitors. So any of your competitors that ever use SLI systems to power their on-site search, they always have a link that says popular searches. You just search for site search by, in quotes, on Google, and you'll see all the people showing you their most popular searches. It's a great way to know what's getting hot. So this is telling me things that are hot for them that people are searching for that I can then go use for my client to figure out what priority of keywords we're targeting for them. Any questions on this yet? Go for it. So this one's actually really easy. See where it says site search by? And the question is, what is that query that I'm mentioning for you to find these types of results? If you're in e-commerce at all I do for this one, this is simple. Site search by, in quotes, and I think there's some alt text or something on that SLI systems image. That's going to bring back every person that uses SLI. Anybody in here do Halloween costume stuff? I know that's always a hot area. So I used to be in that area. I used to work with a client in that area. So many of them use SLI systems. Use the data from Spirit Halloween. Who else uses it? Damn it, I forget. There's 2 or 3 in the top 10, or always are in the top 10, that use SLI systems. Let them do all your work for you. They're publicly showing what people are searching for the most on their site. Gives you an idea, gives you a little bit of competitive intelligence, right? So if you're in e-commerce, anybody using SLI systems, it is a great way to take from them. I did a whole blog post a long time ago about all of this. I found about 30 or 40 of these from Walmart to ESPN.com that list out the most popular searches and they index them for the long haul. If you're producing content, it'll help you figure out where to produce content and where to focus your efforts. But let's get back to more angelic, nice things and ways to do your SEO. So before you need retweets, links, and all that other stuff, just try to help others out. You'll be amazed at how often people are willing to come and rally for you when you've actually done something to help them out. So here's somebody I think everybody here should follow. His name is Garrett French. And he recently wrote a link building book. And unlike most of you, I'm not an affiliate for anything. People are always like, Will, you know all the search stuff. Why don't you do more affiliate stuff? I don't know. I like doing SEO. So there's no affiliate link, nothing related here other than I'm trying to be angelic and share with all of you something that I read and blew my mind on how good it was. Most stuff that people write, 99% of the time, I'm like, yeah, if I had thought of that, yeah, that makes sense. But when I read Garrett French's ebook, I found myself consistently highlighting, consistently saying I got to go back to this, and consistently taking back to my team, we got to get better at this. We have to do this way. This is really smart. And if you put in that code, he said that he'll give 20% off of his ebook. And he also gave me the ability to give one away for free. So if you drop your card, If you drop your card off or something like that, I'll pick somebody out at random, or if you tweet me or something, I'll figure out some kind of stupid contest, and then I'll give one away. I'm telling you guys, I think this takes it from like $93 to like $75. It is a really good use of your dollar to, you hear my voice crack there? Really good use of your dollar to read his ebook. It's really, really good. And I also believe in just don't beg for retweets. Okay, here's the thing. If anybody here follows me and I ever send you a DM asking you to retweet my stuff, unfollow me. Because I think that's bullshit. My belief is that if I actually write good stuff, people are actually going to want to retweet it. Why? Because it's probably good stuff. And if it's not, I got to get better, right? Asking your friends to push your stuff if it's not worthy, I think it's kind of crappy. Make real relationships. So now let's talk about the wins. Love doing this presentation in New York. I know you guys won last year, whatever, but you guys pay for it, so whatever. All right, so now let's talk about the wins. Phillies win. All right. So the question is do you know what kind of links you need to be successful? And this is why I failed from my client, and we turned it around, but this is why I failed from my client in this very competitive space. We did not know what kind of links we needed to win. Look at all the different types of links you can get. None of these are new, right? Everybody knows that you can get some, you can do press releases, reciprocals, all that crap. You can read. I'm not going to read a slide back to you. But there are so many different ways you can go about getting links. The question is are you taking a scientific approach to figuring out how are the people above you outranking you? How many of you are actually going out and doing press releases and have no idea as to whether or not that is helping the people above you outrank you? Look at you guys, silence. And I see all you are awake and typing on your iPads and shit. You know that you don't do this. And it's okay. I didn't do it. If I can stand in front of all you as a 13 years in SEO, like never did web design. SEO from the first day I got out of school at 22 years old. I'm now much older than that. 21 years old, now much older than that. But like, I have totally changed the way our company goes about link building for clients. And I think this is what most of us do. We do everything, right? And we just hope that some of it works. You know, was it my press release? Was it the site wide I got on this site? You don't know. It's the same thing I did for my client and I failed them. I thought and banked hard on the fact that, well, when Matt Cutts says you get a link from the New York Times and you get a link from Cosmo, we should just rank well. That's what he says, right? Wrong. Didn't work at all. And I think that what's so important about that is that nobody's talking about the fact that that stuff does not always work. And if you're in a very competitive space, somebody needs to show you that it's not, but what you can do to start to figure out how you're getting your butt kicked. So let's talk about the first thing we did to turn this ship around. And it was this simple. I stopped just doing this and just praying that something was going to work and we're going to do all this stuff. We're going to link bait and we're going to build this, we're going to build that. I stopped that. I said, you know what? It's time for me to sit down and stop creating work and sit and look at the top 10 across a bunch of different factors and see where they're outranking me. And if you're doing this based off page rank, you're going to lose out. It's so much more complicated than that. The beauty is I'm going to give you guys a spreadsheet that has a lot of formulas and things like that in it that'll calculate some of this stuff for you already. And I didn't even develop it. I'll share with you the guy in our company that did. So I'm going to start off easier and get progressively more complicated. So Majestic SEO, I like the tool. What I will tell you that I like about it is this is one of our clients that sells motorcycle stuff is Revzilla. Shout out to Revzilla. They're an awesome group of guys. If you are into motorcycles, buy something from them. You'll notice that, you know, back in November of 2008, and these guys, you look at them compared to Motorcycle Superstore, again, you will realize that build good content is a farce. These guys pump out a video for every product they have. They go on road trips and meet their customers and do road trips with their customers as bike riders. They had their landlord dress up in like a weird heavy metal costume and they did a video with them. They do everything that you're told to do to be successful, connecting with their customers and all that, right? It's not enough. Motorcycle Superstore is killing them. Now, what I think is over time, doing this and sticking on that path will create such a great bond with their customers that will be something that Motorcycle Superstore can't replace. But Google doesn't reward that yet. I'm not seeing it. So as you can see here, Majestic will show you, if you drop in a couple of domains, and I think you can sign up for a free account and drop up to 5 domains in at a time, of how your link building is going relative to those competitors of yours. This is the easiest way to figure out what's the gap. Where am I getting beat? What is the difference between where I'm ranking and where my competitors are ranking? And it's a quick, easy snapshot. You can also find bumps. So when you see a big bump or a spike like that, very often that tells me there might be a site-wide link. They might have got listed in a blog roll. So you want to kind of reverse engineer the bumps. Well, what happened at that time? This is how you're going to start to know what your competitors are doing to outrank you. Then there's the hard way. Now, right now, we look at about 80 different factors for our top most competitive keywords for our clients, and here are some of them. So we're looking at what percentage of their links have anchor text, their anchor text, the keyword that we're targeting. How often is it exact, and how often is it phrase? What am I looking for? And I'll show you in a little bit. I'm looking for something that we're doing that's unnatural, that doesn't fit within the top 10. And actually, there's a couple of Excel functions that are in that spreadsheet that if you do an export, will actually show you what percentage you are versus your competitors, and it'll graph it out and show you exactly where you're getting beat. I'm looking at domain age. I'm looking at delicious tags. I'm looking at things like the average domain authority that comes out of SEOMOZ, or Open Site Explorer, rather. I'm looking at their number of links with a page rank over 6, let's say, might be another one. Maybe how many links do they have that's a page rank over 3 or over 8. But then I'm also using domain authority and other AC rank and other statistics to try to figure out how we are potentially getting beat for a keyword. So my tool of choice is Open Site Explorer. It's unfortunate that when I first started doing presentations at the Affiliate Summit, almost every tool that I used to tell people to use was free. You know, that was 6 years ago, I think I did my first session here, so I'm glad you guys continue to come out. But more and more of these tools to compete, they're not going to all be free. So Open Site Explorer is partially free, but it's a good place to start. If you're not using it, I would strongly recommend that you do. So we have a client that's in the nutritional supplements bodybuilding space, somewhat competitive. Anybody in the supplement space here at all? Try to, a little bit? You know, it's tough. I mean, you know, especially for words like bodybuilding supplements, you usually are trying to find the niches. But I'm going to show you how looking at what your competitor's doing created an instant link building opportunity for us. So when I looked at this, hopefully you're seeing the same things I'm seeing. One of the reasons why I don't do a bunch of tools presentations anymore about SEO is because it's not knowing the tool exists. It's in knowing how to use it. So everybody here knows to use SEO Quake and this tool and that tool. The question is do you see what I see when you look at this? First thing I see is that one of their top links, according to SEOMOZ, who has their own number system, whatever, is a directory. If I see a bunch of directories, all at high values, and that client and that person is outranking me, that's going to tell me I might need to up the heat a little bit on my directory link building, potentially, right? The other thing I noticed here is look at number 5 and number 7. This site has links from .edus. Now, whether or not just having a .edu matters more or not, EDUs are just typically more trusted because they don't link out to crap. We all know that, right? So what I did is I looked at both of those links and I found out that they basically are offering a discount program to professors and students at those universities. As a result, they are now getting backlinks from those pages. Not only are they getting, we have a client that's doing this in the contact lens space. Not only are they actually getting conversions from this, it's actually getting a link from a bunch of really high value sites, and that's the coup. I would have never found that for this client had I not actually done some back research on how I was getting beat. What I'm going to tell you guys that we've changed most about our process now is I do this first instead of 4, 5, 6 months in when I'm not seeing the rankings I expected. So before I even touch a website now, I'm doing this level of analysis. The next tab I have circled here is top pages. So I want to look at my competitors and see what is their top page on their site that's not their homepage that got significant inbound links. Do you guys know why I'm looking for that? Anybody? Yeah. You got it. So the idea is it's going to tell you what they're doing that's attracting links. Go for it. So the question revolves around, I don't know whether or not this page is converting for the client, and that is true. Or the keyword. I don't know if the keyword is actually converting for them, and that I'll never know. So what I do is I tell my clients, use paid search, Go after these keywords first, figure out whether or not they convert, and then we know it makes sense to have the patience to wait for them to come in SEO. That's the way that I typically approach that for my clients. No, let's go for it.
I've always heard conflicting opinions. Some people say the results of paid search are not the same as the results of organic search with respect to keyword conversion.
Ooh. That's a really good question. So the question is do we find that there's different conversion rates and whatnot on the same keyword when it's in paid versus natural? And we do see differences. So it doesn't always pan out. But if I'm going to tell my client, it's worth you waiting for 6 months or 8 months or 12 months to get this ranking, it's my responsibility to at least say, let's go after this word in paid search for a while and see if we can get some kind of conversions on it. The other thing about building great content that attracts a lot of links is you can then push that link juice around to other things. So if you build a piece of content and it's considered a good piece and people link to it, you can decide to link to your most popular products from that page that do convert really well, and now those should rank because you've taken a piece that has become a link magnet and attracted a lot of links, and then pushed out your internal link juice to things that you know are actually going to convert. Does that make sense? Okay, anybody else got questions? If you got them, interrupt. So my goal now is I look at my top 10 competitors, the 10 people that are ranking where I want to be. If it's Amazon.com, probably not a good site to look at. But I'm looking for the people that aren't Amazon.com or people that don't have the exact match keywords in their domain. I was looking for New York. Anybody follow me on Twitter and see the post that I did? Not the post, it was just a tweet about New York concert tickets. So I'm one of those guys, when I get into a new city, I love to go check out a show of somebody I like. I actually have a thing for female singer-songwriter, Sarah Bareilles, Kate Nash type of people for some crazy reason, right? And I typed in New York concert tickets. You know what the first freaking result was? NewYorkConcertTickets.com. Black background with stars on it and like AdSense everywhere. It was an absolutely useless site. But sometimes when you're doing this backlink research, all of you should know, don't include an 800-pound gorilla. So if it's Amazon, they're Amazon. You're not going to get links that Amazon has, so you're not going to learn anything from them. And also, if it's an exact match domain, odds are you're not going to learn a lot from that either because Google gives them a lot of bump. Is that our first one? Thank you. All right. So I think this is critical. Why? Because I know I used to build link building ideas for my clients, and I'd much rather now let them know that I've seen it work already for someone else and that we're going to do it one better. So another thing I'm looking at here is the fourth tab over. It's anchor text distribution. And this is showing you what anchor text they're actually getting for their links. Again, I'm going to show you in a couple of seconds why that's really important. We trend out the percent of our targeted anchor text versus the top 10. So right now, I have a client who's going after a very competitive keyword, and they're at 29% of their inbound links have, I believe it's phrase match anchor text. The average of the top 10 sites is 2.5%. We got to change something, right? Now, this client is ranking really well for a very, very competitive word, but I know that they're unnatural, right? So the idea is if you put these data points in a spreadsheet and you start to trend it out over time, you'll see where you're unnatural versus the other top 10. That's how I personally believe you get the most fluctuation in your rankings, because 29% of all of our links are matching the anchor text. That's not a good thing if the top 10 that Google's rewarded is on average at 2.5. Some are as low as less than 1%. I want to always be in the range of where everybody else is. But if I don't do this analysis, I won't know. And now the takeaway from this is still working. This is a search word that's searched for well over 400,000 times a month, according to Google. And it's working. But now I'm trying to get non-anchor text links for my client to bring them down into a more normal range so this doesn't stand out. So how do I know that our link building was unnatural? I'm going to pull the data into Excel from Open Site Explorer. They've got an export. I'm going to run a phrase match on my targeted keyword, and I'm going to calculate the percentage of my overall links that have the exact match anchor text, and then I'm going to compare my percentage versus the top 10, and then I'm going to compare my percentage versus the average of the top 10. And I wish I paid more attention in stats class, because then you get into all kinds of standard deviations and stuff and whatnot. Sorry, Miss Russell, I didn't pay a lot of attention. I was too busy, but not tweeting because we didn't have cell phones back then. That's how old I am. So anyway, you do this for the percent of your anchor text, right? But then now start to think about where you can take this, because this is where we take this for our clients. Anchor text, done. How about the raw number of links? Are you getting beat? I have a client right now. Shouldn't say this entirely. They're outranking FedEx for a keyword that is synonymous with FedEx, because FedEx does no on-site optimization, no link building. It shocks me that you can outrank FedEx for a word related to shipping that they should own. FedEx has, I think last I checked, 1.25 million inbound links. Our client has 2,400. So when you look at data like this, even if you put it all in a spreadsheet, some of the crap's not going to add up. But at least it's going to give you more of a scientific way to make the decisions that you are putting in place as you're building links. We look at root domains. How many links do you have from individual root domains? Because if somebody gets a site-wide link, it's going to spike them maybe 10, 20,000 links up, but it's still only coming from one root domain. So we're going to look at a bunch of different factors like that and trend them out in Excel. So one of the things that I was looking at was, well, I figured if I was saying anchor text a bit, I figured I would talk to you guys just a quick bit about how to get the anchor text you want. One of them is to build a microsite with the exact anchor text that you're seeking, because then when people link over, they almost can't help but link to you with the exact words that you want to rank well for, right? Another thing is build a widget. If you build a widget, you can decide what anchor text you want to put in that widget that people will then link out to you with. There's a whole thing about widget bait gone wrong. So if you want to Google that, you can read a great post by a guy that goes by The Oatmeal. I think his name is Matthew Inman, of how he did this, killed it in a space, and then totally got the Google smackdown. So you don't want to get too aggressive with this. And then you can always buy a domain with the exact anchor text and move your site. It's all about getting, if you can buy a domain or get a microsite or some kind of domain that's got your exact anchor text, people will go, well, what should I link to that, widget, that blue widget site? Oh, it's bluewidgets.com. Okay, I'll link to it with blue widgets, right? So that's one of the ways that you can try to encourage people to link to you with anchor text without asking them to change their links. Is this too advanced? I hope not. All right, good. I like that. All right. So I'm going to give some of the folks who are not willing to admit that this is a little bit over their heads. Shit, this was over my head 6 months ago, so come on. All right. Here's another thing that you can output in SEO, in SEO Moz's Open Site Explorer. And this kind of takes a bunch of these different factors and gets you started, right? So if anything, I would recommend that you trend out these data points so that you can see where you're strong or weak relative to your competitors. So this is the output of our Excel spreadsheet that I have. I'm going to give away to all you guys if you just drop your card off. And I won't email you after that. It's not my style. But the spreadsheet calculates this for us. See that number 79? That's us for a keyword that I want. And it pisses me off because we're like number 13 for the singular and 80 for the plural. It's annoying. But anyway, what I'm able to see here is our spreadsheet, if you kick this out of OSC, Open Site Explorer, is automatically going to create this chart for you. Now, you got to do a little bit of work. I'm sorry. You're going to have to run all your 10 clients in this, copy and paste them in. But once you do, we're giving you the first step to start doing this. We don't have a tool set or anything, so we're not trying to sell you on anything. Trust me. I just figured I'd share it with you. So if I look at my ranking down there at 79 for how we are against the top 10 for exact and phrase match links, when I see two people spiking out like that, it's going to tell me something. Those are the people I want to look at, right? How are they getting their anchor text so often? And then I'm actually doing a little bit better than number 7, and I'm not actually that far off from number 2. But I think what this goes to show is that this is just one factor of 200 plus in the algorithm, in Google's algorithm. So you're never going to really know exactly what it is. But why don't we start taking more of a scientific approach to how are people outranking us than just press release, directories, articles, get my friends to link to me, social profiles. Like, we can do all that stuff, but I think that you want to take a more scientific approach to specifically figure out what areas are you weak and then hit those areas really, really hard. Because the one thing we all know about link building is it's not easy. It takes a lot of time. So shouldn't you be prioritizing your link building efforts in accordance with which ones are consistently, which ones you seem to be consistently getting beat out relative to your competitors? All right, so again, I'm gonna give that spreadsheet away, but I'm gonna do it over email instead. This guy, Mark Lavoritano, he works with us at SEER. He's our Excel guy. Like, he's really, really strong in Excel. He's an awesome dude. He's leaving for his wedding in about a month and a half, so he might not get back to you as quickly as you'd like. But when he gets back, he's the guy in our company that's really driving Excel. So if some of this really sounds interesting to you, I'd recommend you don't follow me if you want a lot of information on how to use Excel to figure out what's going on in SEO, because it's not my strength. It's Mark's strength. So I'm not going to take credit for something somebody else did. So the next thing that we did is we found broken link, what I call broken link magnets, and I'm going to show you how. So we've got a client that's in the termite space, and I just Googled termite resources. No advanced query, nothing, just regular old termite resources, right? And I found this site. Okay, site all about termites, cool, on topic, cool, you know, build good links, all that stuff. You see when I right-click, I should have circled this, I apologize. Do you see the one that's highlighted that says check page links? Everybody see it? That's a plugin for Firefox that I have a really long link to. So if you drop off your information, I'll give that one to you as well, so you don't have to write it all down or tap it all out. But checking page links allows me to check all the link resources on a web page. So everything that this person's linking out to, this is checking to see which ones are broken, which ones aren't. Whenever somebody's linking out to a broken resource, this allows you to be a little angelic, right? Help them out before you need their help. Let people know that they've got broken links on their site, right? Now, once you find out what that link is, you can run all of the backlink analyses to that page and contact everybody in the termite space that's linking to a broken resource. Now you've started a dialogue with someone who, if I'm trying to rank well for termites or termite extermination, I want those people to know who I am. But I didn't lead in with a gimmick or a hook. Instead, I actually found a resource that was broken, found everybody linking to that broken resource, told the webmaster it was broken, and then also told everybody else, hey, you're linking out to something that's a broken link. Here's their new URL. I'm not asking for squat yet, right? And that's the long link. I'll give you 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So just like, I'll get it to you. Trust me. What's that? That, I don't even know what the name of it is. I'll go back to it. 10 seconds. There's a question, so I'll leave it up. I saw somebody had a question, so if you got a question, ask it now so somebody can write this down. Yeah, question. I need you to speak. Oh, that's Mark Lavoritano. MarkLavoritano. Okay. Hopefully you've gotten that stuff down. So I think there's a ton of these out there. I know there are a ton of these out there, and I recommend you do it in your space. The other thing that's great is to rebuild the resource. So people build resources all the time, and then they go, I'm not into that blogging thing anymore, right? But yet those things break. And when they break, you find that out. When you find it out, you rebuild the resource yourself. Then you go out and contact everybody linking to that broken resource. Hey, Webmaster X, you're linking to this page and it no longer works. I decided to take the torch, take the baton, and rebuild it on my site. And if you still want to link to it, here's where it is. Adding value. I know that you already linked to this resource in the past. Once I find that that resource is broken, now I can go to people that link to it and say, hey, why don't you link to me? This has worked out tremendously for us, for our client, and it's really helped us to also turn things around. And I'm a big fan of using Delicious because of some of the things I can do with it, and I'm going to show you what some of those things are right now. So if you take your subject and add in words like calculator, life hack, tip, resource, list, etc. If you tag so when you're in Delicious, I think I have a screen grab here. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. So take the word insurance as my first tag, right? My second tag is calculator. See where I've got this thing circled over here? You can change the display to 100, so then you get a nice long list of everybody that's tagged anything as insurance and calculator. Then you run your check page links on that list of 100. it'll come back and show you all the things people have tagged that are broken. Then you go to like Wayback Machine or something, figure out what that piece of content was, rebuild it, and go and contact everybody and tell them, look, you're linking to something that's broken. If you really want to use it in the future, I've taken it upon myself to rebuild it. Now you've created a relationship. Now you're getting legitimate quality inbound links. That should make sense, right? Hopefully I'm not losing anybody. Okay. So sloppy competitors. I'm actually going to use a very live example here. So I tend to sometimes go to page 10 or further. Because you know what? People that are actively optimizing their sites on a day-to-day basis, they're not going to allow themselves to have a lot of 404s on their pages that have inbound links without redirecting them over and maintaining that link juice. So I tend to go to people that are way down, page 10 or further. Why? Those are the people that tried and gave up. But there was a time where they built resources, and they built great content, and they built the 2007 version of this guide, and nobody's done anything since 2007, right? So I go, rebuild it for 2010, tell the client, look, you know what? We've rebuilt this thing for you for 2010. I'm going to go and contact all the people that link to this old resource that nobody's keeping up to date anymore and tell them there's a whole new set of data and statistics out there and that we're committed to updating it every year. Resource built links. Does that sound different now? Okay. So this is one of the ways that we're also trying to go out and connect with people, actually building some decent content, and then turning that into a link building opportunity. So Newsberry. Newsberry is an email marketing service that competes with one of our clients. And I am doing an analysis, currently, or at this time I was doing an analysis to look at what pages are bringing back a 404 on their site. Okay? So again, you start looking at your top 10. Not always you want to go to the top 10. These guys aren't ranking top 10 for email words. They're way lower than that, but there was a time where they tried. So I would say you use Open Site Explorer, which has a free version, and will get you some of this, and you look for 404s. What did these guys who wanted to rank well for those words at one point do? Because everybody at some point starts off. How many of you have that blog that for the first 6 months, you posted all the time, and then if I asked you when's the last time you posted, you're like, I don't know, right? The world is littered with people who have all this fire. You know, you went and bought Crush It, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to take over the world, and I'm going to do all this shit, and you end up doing nothing after 6 months because you got 2 cents from your AdSense check, and you're like, that didn't work. The world is full of people who have a lot of fire in the beginning and lose it and stop updating their crap, right? Put them into OSE. Find their 404s. Rebuild their content. OSE is telling me that there's 4 people that link to this one broken resource. Drop it in the Wayback Machine. Find out what it was. Find those 4 people and let them know that there's a new sheriff in town and you have fixed what other people don't care about anymore because you want to add value to them. You don't want them linking out to broken sites because that's not good for Google. Oh, it's not good for Google? No, linking to broken sites is bad. You want to link to me or link to something or at least remove it. That's one of the ways you can go about getting high quality links to your site. And competitors are sloppy. This is why I'm saying don't go after the first 2-3 pages for a keyword, because those people are watching Google Webmaster Tools for 404s that have inbound links, and they're smart enough to 301 them most times. But you start getting into page 5, and once you get well down into page 10, you're going to start seeing people that really, they read a book and they were going to do it all, and it didn't work out, and now that's an opportunity for you to rebuild the resource. Oh, and anybody here agency folks? Anybody here have a hard time producing content? How about that? Mostly everybody, right? I mean, most of us have a hard time producing content. What I do for some of my clients that can't get me content, I call them on Google Voice and hit 4, and I ask them questions, and I record it, and then I send it out to be transcribed, and now I've got all their insights in their industry, and that's their blog post. I format it all for them and send it to them. All they got to do is post it to WordPress, and they're ready to rock and roll, and then we're able to promote it. I'm sick of our clients not giving us what we need to be successful for them. So I figured I would take it on my own to figure out how can we figure out a way to get what we need from them to help them be successful. Thank you. And I'm using Google Voice and transcribe and having those conversations transcribed. So I'm going out to like a Google Suggest and looking for what's getting hot in their industry. And then I'll call them up and say, when you're driving home, yeah, I'll give you the Bluetooth headset so you're safe. I'm going to ask you 15 questions on your half-hour commute, and then by the time you come in the next day, I've got a blog post ready for you. So that way they don't fall off. So back on my sloppy competitors. I've talked about all these, so we're going to skip ahead because we're getting low on time. So you can get a little bit devious with this. Not really devious, just a little bit devious. So like DMOZ, the Open Directory, you can download the Open Directory. I think you still can. I mean, I don't really worry about it too much. So one of the tips, quick tip, anybody that's a beginner, if you're not in the Open Directory, stop sweating it. Just don't sweat it. But the Open Directory, the Yahoo directory, and on-topic directories, they're all places that have long lists of links, right? So if you're thinking about this, that's when you drop that plugin in, right-click, check all the links, and now you're seeing everything they've linked to that was broken. If something got in the Open Directory, because they don't check as much as the Yahoo directory does, at one point it had to be pretty quality. Why would you not run a backlink checker against everything in the directory and find out what's broken, and then and then run that broken link into Open Site Explorer, see all the people linking to it, and then contact them all, rebuild the resource. Yeah, that's good. We already went through that. So, finding opportunities with Google Suggest. Anybody here in the travel space? A couple folks? There's always a lot of you guys here. So as I was putting this presentation together, I was trying to pressing myself on coming up with some examples of how I talk to clients and get them to hopefully build some content that we need to help them rank well. And what I did is I'm a big fan of using Google Suggest. And it's really quick. That's what I like about it. Obviously, I have very little patience. So I can type in what is the most, right? And then I start typing in my letters one at a time. Expensive, and then hotel, and I can see what's coming back, right? Once you start seeing what's coming back, that should give you content development ideas, right? The beauty of this is you already know what people are searching for the most, because Google's, for the most part, is putting it in that order. The one caveat to that people here should know is this, especially if you're logged in, it will take into account your previous searching history. So when I do what is the most expensive hotel, it's interesting that every time Philadelphia was typically coming back as the first one. It's because either because I was logged into my account, or because they geo-target those results as well. So this is where you've got to put on your thinking cap and go, there's no way that there are more people searching for the most expensive hotel in Philadelphia than they are for New York or Chicago, right? That's why you can't take all these tools and just take them at face value. You got to put your thinking cap on and figure out whether or not there's an opportunity there. So another client that we are hopefully going to land soon does culinary schools. And what I did is I typed in culinary school, and the reason why I'm on the letter C is because I went through Q, W, E, R, T, Y, U, I, O, P. That's how I generate my link building ideas. I drop in the core word, and then I type in the letter of each letter on my keyboard to let things start springing up to me, seeing what people are talking about over and over and over again. And somehow, you can see, I mean, letter C is pretty far away from Q. So I went through each letter, and then C popped up, and I saw cost, and I went, all right, maybe I can write some content around the cost of culinary school because it seems to be one of the top things people are searching for. This is the #1 result. That's crazy. Site sucks, in my opinion, right? So it's low-value content to me, and that's a judgment call. Hopefully this isn't any one of your sites. If it is, I still tell you to your face, I think your site sucks. So, but it's low-value content to me. It's still getting links in from some decent sites. I was shocked. I think About.com linked to this crap. So what I would do is I would redo this content to actually help people calculate the cost. Year 1, year 2. What about housing costs? What city are you in? Is it more to go to a culinary school in Boston than it is to go to one in Oklahoma City? Probably. That's an opportunity for you to take something that's already ranking #1, really build something that adds some value, right? And then contact the people that link to this and be like, really? You're linking to this? Hey, I built this. Here's something that you might be interested in linking to. The other thing that came to me while I was doing this research, there's a lot of search volume around culinary school scholarships. Actually, scholarship lists are very good to attract inbound links, especially from high-quality sites, .edus, K-12s, et cetera. And that was a really big area. So then my next thing would be cost. One sec. It would be the cost of culinary school coupled with culinary school scholarships. Put both of my pieces together and hopefully attract a lot of inbound links for this client and help them dominate. So we're really close to time, which will let me take questions, and I timed this out right. So let's talk about building a link plan. Don't do what I told you so many people do, where they get all excited and they take a bunch of notes because they heard some stupid speaker talk about something, and they go home and don't do any of it, right? Or they do, but then they don't stick it out. So build a plan for yourself. You know what I mean? Create some like checklists. Okay, one of my tasks is 3 months from now. Put it up 3 months from now. It doesn't matter. But get a reminder that, you know what, if this stuff was good and you saw some value in it, don't lose it because you got busy with other stuff. So, first step, stop building links. Remember, pulling it out of here and throwing up whatever you think might work without a scientific approach is not going to be successful for you. If I'm getting links, or if I have a client, because I didn't get the links, if I have a client that's got links from those types of resources and it's not helping them to rank well, that I stopped building links for them. I said, you know what, let me go back and evaluate how I'm getting my butt kicked. I'd say sign up for OSE, Open Site Explorer. There's the free version only gets you, I think, the first 1,000 links. And then I think if you're a pro member, you'll get 10,000. What I have found is that still doesn't get everything. Anybody in here deal with a lot of websites, like a ton, like more than like 50? If you do, API. So like right now, when I tell you that I'm pulling in the domain age and the delicious tags and all this information, I'm pulling out the delicious tags from Delicious. I'm pulling out the domain age from Alexa, who knew they're actually worth something. I'm pulling out all that information over an API. So now I can drop a keyword in and get all this information plus about 60 more different factors in 5 minutes. APIs will be your freaking guiding resource if you work on a bunch of websites. It is so awesome. So anyway, so I get excited about this stuff, sorry. You know, sign up for Majestic, but get a book on Excel. I'm not good at Excel, but at least I have people that I work with who love it the way I love talking about SEO. So I go to them and I go, there's got to be a way. And then they figure it out. And they share it with us, and I'm sharing it with you guys. Aggregate your competitors' top metrics. Then, you know, you want to create graphs, and I'm also a big fan of conditional formats. Anybody here know how to use conditional formats in Excel? It's pretty easy. Google it. 10 minutes later, you'll be creating conditional formats. But what I say is if you're trying to trend something out over time, isn't it smart to create conditional formats when you're in the top 10% or the bottom 10%, or when your average is over the overall average? And what it'll do is when your numbers don't add up, it'll highlight those cells, red, green, black, whatever color you want to make it, which will alert you that, whoa, something's up here. So now when you're bringing in all this data, you want to use conditional formats to tell you when something's not adding up here. And then you can take advantage and change things more quickly. My client that's got 29% of their links have the phrase match anchor text. I wish I was doing this at that time. I am now. But I would have caught it every month that OSE is updated. I would have caught it and went, wow, that's really high, back when it was 15% instead of letting it run up to 30. So start finding industry sites that have long lists of links and find the broken ones. That's not too hard. Hopefully none of this stuff is really all that hard. Again, if you've done the things above, you'll be able to start looking for unnatural link building patterns so that you don't end up waking up one day and having a smackdown, which hurts. Review your competitors' top best link magnets. One of our clients is in the email marketing space, and we looked at this email marketing guide done by MailChimp. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, okay, did they not update it? Did they not do this? Did they not do that? And they did all of it. Thank you. And I said, you know what? We're not going to be able to build that resource any better than it's already built. So, you know, don't go and waste your time. Find the people that are linking to your competitor 404 pages. Use Google Suggest. Install that Twitter Google Results thing for Grease Monkey for Firefox. And also with Twitter search results, you can subscribe via RSS. And then hopefully also subscribe to my blog and follow me on Twitter, where I continue to give out these kinds of ideas. And I've also launched, it's slow as hell, so I apologize, but I launched Pickwheel's Brain, which just allows you to kind of piece together different tags. Over the last 4 years, I've categorized over 1,200 different things that I've read in SEO that I said, you know what, someday I might want to go back and reference that again. And they're usually tagged pretty well. So that's one place you can kind of pick my brain. You can also go to youtube.com/Will Reynolds. Questions? Anybody got anything they want to ask? It's totally wide open. Question here? Ooh, so the question is do I think that the conversion rates between paid search or natural search, which one do I think is better? It depends, and I hate to say that to you because it sounds like a crappy answer, but it's true. I'll see data, and this is the beauty of looking at data, across clients where they totally conflict. Some clients will, you know what I will tell you is a much more valuable thing to look at? I look at clients' rankings and then their traffic, right? And I would rather know when I dip 1 or 2 spots, how much does that impact my traffic and my conversions, right? So in certain industries, we have a client that went from 2 to 3 for a word and lost 33% of their traffic. So I know that one word is huge for them, right? We've got other clients that drop from 2 to 10, and it has no impact on conversions because people dig through really deep when they're getting ready to buy a $50,000 piece of software, right? So hopefully that example, I know it kind of sounds like a bad, to say it depends, but that's a real live example of how the data can be so far apart that for me to tell you, oh, one's better than the other without knowing your business, which we can talk about when I leave, then I can maybe give you a better answer based on the client data that I've seen. Is that fair? Grab me afterwards if you got time. All right, question? Yep. So once the question is how do you rebuild the source? How do you go about finding the source and rebuilding it to get those inbound links? So if anybody else has got that question, let's know. I use the Wayback Machine a lot for that because think about it, if a link is broken, you don't know exactly what that content was. So I'll use archive.org's Wayback Machine. I'll put the website in and I'll go back years and look at that resource and hopefully it'll load. And if it does, I have a really good idea on what that piece of content was about. But then if that piece of content actually attracted legitimate quality links, you'll see the context by which other bloggers were linking to it. Oh, this calculator did this, and this for me. Link over. You can start to piece that together if that's what we do when Wayback Machine fails us before we want to rebuild the resource. Also, look for studies in your space with the word 2007, 2006. Usually in the title is what I'll do. So I'll do like an in title in Google, in title, your industry, and like report, and then like 2000 star, and then it'll pick up all the old stuff because now we're in 2010. And then you can find out people that have built resources back in the day that maybe are no longer updating them or they haven't done their 2010 version. It's an opportunity to jump in, rebuild it, and contact all those people that you've got more recent data or a more recent opinion or something else. So that's another way I find those resources as well. Typically, one of the things I've been toying around with lately, and I don't have data to prove this yet, but I feel that when you don't have something on your site, it feels less commercial. So I'm starting to have some clients build like a microsite that will put the calculator on that's not connected to their site at all. And then their competitors will blog about it and link to it. And then about 3-4 months later, we'll put a powered by and their name on it. And then you get the link that way. Because who in here checks their links after their blog post, like 3-4 months later? Not for broken links, just for what the content is. No one, right? Who does? I mean, none of us do, right? I'm probably linking out to competitors now and don't even know it. So you take a resource, you build it. That's a little bit devilish, but, sometimes people are doing devilish shit to beat you out. So, but no, you can build a resource. People liked it, they linked to it, but you don't need to advertise the fact that it's from you. Your competitors will actually link to it, and then 3-4 months later, after all the buzz is kind of worn off, you put a powered by client name, and then they're not going to remove it. I don't know, that's a little bit sneaky. Yes? I'm actually not a big fan. So there's an affiliate in the Dish Network space. If you're here, I know what you're doing. It's pretty sneaky and I like it. I wouldn't do it for my client, but it's sneaky. What they're doing is they're buying domains for like a lot of things that teachers link to. So I was like, how are they getting all these links from these .edus? Time's up. I'll finish this and then I'll let you guys go, or we can just sit here and continue to shoot the crap. I was like, how are they getting all these links from these like K-12s and whatnot? They were buying domains from software companies and people that were doing teacher resources. Then they put up the teacher resource again and was like, our partner, dish-network-trying to make money.com is now our affiliate partner. And then they put affiliate links all over it. But then there was always a link somewhere on their homepage that had no affiliate link on it, no tracking parameters on it, that went over to them with that exact URL. So what I'm finding is that 301ing over an old site, especially if it's off topic, is not really going to have as much of an impact as you hope. What I saw, I don't advocate this, but I've seen it work because they're beating us, so it's working, is they've taken resources, put a lot of that similar content back up, but very thin content, nothing deep. Then the links are all live again, and then they'll just put up powered by or sponsored by and link it over in some way, shape, or form, and that's one of the ways they're doing it. I don't like that tactic, but I see it working. So if there's nobody in here after this. I think it's lunch. So go ahead to lunch. Drop your card up here. Thank you very much, and we can chat a little bit later.